Cerebrum.
Longitudinal.
Name the entire structure. Cerebrum.
Longitudinal fissure.
Longitudinal fissure that separates your right and left hemisphere.
Gyrus.
Gyrus, gyri plural, gyrus singular. All the elevations. Name the elevation, name the raised part of the brain. Gyrus.
Sulci.
Sulci is
Sulci.
plural, sulcus singular. So sulcus is all these grooves. You can see the grooves. Name the groove or the depression or the groove. That's your sulcus.
Parietal lobe.
Parietal lobe over here. That's your parietal lobe on the top, the superior surface of the brain.
Temporal lobe.
Temporal lobe.
Occipital lobe.
Occipital lobe, the back of the brain, posterior end of the brain.
Frontal lobe.
Frontal lobe more towards the front.
Cerebellum.
Cerebellum, this entire structure. Name the entire structure. You are saying cerebellum.
Lateral hemisphere of the cerebellum.
You can see two hemispheres like your cerebrum. So one on the right, one on the left. This is the lateral surface of the hemisphere, lateral hemisphere of the cerebellum.
Vermis.
Vermis is this middle portion. You can see these worm-like structures in the middle between the two hemispheres of the cerebellum. That's your vermis. V-E-R-M-I-S.
Superior colliculi of the corpora quadrigemina.
Corpora quadrigemina is all these four structures together. So you have two colliculi, colliculus singular, superior colliculi, inferior colliculi, two superior, two inferior, four of them together we call corpora quadrigemina. If you point to just one, this will be right superior, left superior, right inferior, and left inferior. Remember, colliculus is singular.
Inferior colliculi.
Yeah, we did that, the inferior colliculi.
Pineal
Pineal gland. Pineal gland you can find right above the corpora quadrigemina, deep inside. So it's kind of hard to see in that view sometimes. So you can see, if you see the sagittal view, you can see the pineal gland here right behind the thalamus. And these are again the colliculi in this view. Okay.
Olfactory bulbs.
Olfactory bulbs, these projections are the olfactory bulbs. They are basically part of the olfactory nerve. The path of the nerve is called the olfactory tract.
optic chiasma.
Optic chiasma is the crossover point between the two optic nerves. You can see coming from either side, crossing over here.
Mammillary body.
Mammillary body. Mammillary body you cannot see in this view because the pituitary gland is hiding the mammillary body, so you have to find another brain where the pituitary gland has been removed. So you can see here, you can see the optic chiasma, and there's a little hole representing the infundibulum, and this is your mammillary body right here.
Infundibulum.
Infundibulum is the stalk of the pituitary gland. It's broken off in this specimen, so you can see where the infundibulum was attached. You see the hole that represents the infundibulum.
Pons.
Pons, in this view, you can see the pons here. In this view, you can see the pons here.
Medulla oblongata.
Medulla oblongata in the sagittal view. You can see the medulla oblongata. So you'll see two bumps. The first bump is your medulla oblongata coming from the inferior end of the stem of the brain. The next bump is your pons, and above that is your cerebral peduncle. So in this view, you can see the medulla oblongata, the pons, that's your cerebral peduncle. The spinal cord is all the way towards the end. Next.
Corpus callosum.
Corpus callosum, you have to see the sagittal view. You can see the corpus callosum.
Lateral ventricle.
Lateral ventricle is below the corpus callosum. This is the right lateral ventricle on this right half of the brain. Next.
Septum pellucidum.
Septum pellucidum is a membrane that covers and separates the two ventricles. If you see the membrane, then you won't see the space. So if you see the space, sometimes you may see partially the membrane and a little bit of the space depending on the specimen.
Fourth ventricle.
Fourth ventricle is down here between the medulla and the cerebellum.
Arbor vitae.
Arbor vitae is this whitish tree-like structure.
Cerebral aqueduct.
Cerebral aqueduct is this passage that goes from the third ventricle to the fourth ventricle. That's your cerebral aqueduct, the whole passage.
Thalamus.
Thalamus is this round or oval structure right in the middle. Thalamus.
Third ventricle.
Third ventricle goes around the thalamus, between thalamus hypothalamus.
Dura mater.
Dura mater is the fibrous covering on the outside.
Pituitary gland.
Pituitary gland, you can see in the inferior view, you see this bump. That's your pituitary gland. You can see this here. So if the pituitary gland is not there, it looks like this. So you can see the difference between the two, with and without the pituitary gland. Here you can see the pituitary gland. Here you don't see it. You can see the infundibulum mammillary body when the pituitary gland is removed.